Hello lovely Simmers, SimsEclaire here and welcome back to my channel. For today's video we are doing another home for my Willow Creek portion of my save file. So this home is right next door to the last house that we built. It's in the kind of middle class suburban area right across the street from Eliza Pancakes. You can kind of see the neighborhood child toddler park that I created to serve like on the smaller lot right next door as well. And my idea for this home was that it was right next door to the other like super true suburban home that I created, so I figured that they would kind of look similar. You know, they were in the same area of town, they were probably built by the same contractor, and I wanted them to have similar styles. So they have kind of the same roofing textures and some of the same not colors but wallpapers. That's what it's called. They have the same wallpapers. When I first build this, you will see they both have kind of like a white and black color scheme, but I do end up changing that off camera because I thought that it looked too similar to the house next door, so I decided to make it a little bit darker and also a little bit warmer in the terms of like the wood tones that I was using. Right now we are kind of finishing up the sides of the house, like the structure of the house. It came together quite quickly. I was basing it off of the house next door as well as a couple of different reference pictures that I have, and I started building this before we got the new pack announcement, but I finished building it after, and I think that that kind of had a say in me changing the color scheme, because if you haven't seen the trailer yet, the new Sims 4 pack that is going to be coming out is called Cottage Living, and it's totally inspired by like English countryside. We get new farming animals, new farming plants, we got a whole new world, and I am so excited. And when I sat down to build this house, I was instantly like, well, maybe this should be a little bit more cozy, maybe this should be a little bit more like countryside-esque, and I just cannot wait to get my hands on this new pack. Unfortunately, they announced it over a month before the pack's actually supposed to come out. It's not supposed to come out until the end of July, which is actually a bonus for me because the whole like first 2 weeks of July are taken up by me moving. So when I get settled into my new place, I'll also have a new Sims pack to play with. But they don't usually announce like reveal trailers that far in advance. At least since I've been playing The Sims, they haven't done that. So part of me wonders if like they had to announce it ahead of time to prevent leaks, because sometimes I've noticed on The Sims Twitter, some of the leaks that have come out are based off of people like looking at the coding of the game, like CC creators or modders who are trying to code something, and then they've discovered like this new sequence of code, like with the bunk beds. When bunk beds were first brought out, someone brought up the code page and said that there was code in there so that at a later date the Sims team could add things like, you know, being able to put desks under there and dressers under there. And a part of me wonders if maybe one of the base game updates that they're giving us, they had to release some of the info about the pack early, because once those updates roll through, the code will change. Like, according to the trailer, it looks like we're getting a pawn tool, so I'm assuming one of the base game updates is the pawn tool, and maybe there's some things related around that they didn't want to be leaked about the new pack before the new pack came out just because the update was coming through. I don't know. That's my theory at least. But I'm super excited about the pack, and I really just want to get my hands on it. But that's kind of where the direction of this house ended up going. But also, obviously, I do have the Dream Home Decorator pack while I was doing this. So the outside is a little bit like country-esque, but then the inside has a lot of the Dream Home Decorator stuff. But it is a family home, so it does have, I imagined 2 parents, and I imagined both of them worked in the customer service industry. I was raised by 2 parents in the customer service industry. My dad was an executive chef my entire childhood. My mom worked in retail stores. She's the general manager of many of them, and now she's a regional manager. But so I kind of imagine these kids having like a similar childhood to what I had. I did think that there was 2 kids. I decorated one room for a child and one room for a teenager. Now I did use bunk beds. I made it into a loft bed, so if you did want to have 3 kids in this house, you could just switch out the desk I put underneath for another bed and easily make the one room for 2 kids instead of 1. But that was kind of my thinking. I didn't place any offices or anything like that in this build because, like I said, the 2 parents in my mind were customer service workers, and they don't really have a whole lot of time to have stuff like that. at, you know, like home offices with computer desks where they spend all their time playing on the computer or anything like that. So I did imagine that this family was very close because all the free time that the parents had, they did spend with their kids because they don't get a lot of it. Like I said, and then inside I'm using, initially this house was supposed to be base game and Dream Home Decorator pack only, and then I realized I really didn't want to do that, so I start out using a lot of base game items and Dream Home Decorator items, and then I slowly start to filter some more things in. You can see I use Seasons doors and stuff like that because I quickly realized the exterior of the house was not base game and Dream Home Decorator only, and I was like, oh, that's not gonna work. But I'm placing 2 backpacks here by the front door just as kind of like a clutter item. I did think that the parents didn't have a lot of time to keep things necessarily the neatest. So like you have the kids' shoes right by the front door, you have their backpacks strewn all over the place. I am going to place some kids' decorations in the living room. And I think that it just kind of goes to show, you know, their jobs and the things that they have to do to, you know, just stay in touch with people and all that good stuff. And then I'm placing a couple decorations around. The house has a really weird layout, I'm not gonna lie. Since the upstairs of the house is smaller than the downstairs, I couldn't fit the staircase very well, so I ended up having to do this weird, like, mid-section thing with the staircase where it's not actually against the exterior wall of the house, so I had to do an indent into the living room so I could make it look like it was on the exterior wall of the house, even though it isn't. So the whole layout's kind of weird, but it works. There's 3 bedrooms. Here you can see is the living room, and I'm using all the new Dream Home Decorator stuff. I wanted this home to have kind of like a mix of like blue and white and like warm wood tone themes, as well as obviously you can see I used cool wood tones from Seasons, but I think that it kind of has this, it's almost like a blank slate that the family could be renting because all of the walls aren't really overly decorated except for the kids' rooms, and they were able to bring in, you know, their own pops of color into their furniture and stuff like that. And then over here I'm using, as you can see, I used the sectional couches. I was actually inspired by my sister. She just downloaded the Dream Home Decorator kit pack and she was playing with this apartment that had this really weirdly shaped living room, and she was following a Pinterest floor plan, but the living room was like super tiny and it was open floor plan with the kitchen, and there was just like this L-shaped wall that was blocking the bedroom and bathroom from the living room. And I saw it and I was like, you know, that's not a bad like way to separate things and also be able to use the sectional sofas, because so far I've only used the sectional sofas as like not really like cornered pieces or anything like that. So I kind of wanted to try and use it in this little cramped area, and I think it turned out really well. And then over here I have a little bit of a bookshelf section. I figured maybe sometimes the kids did their homework out here. I also put some kids' toys there just to fill up the space a little bit and make the house seem a little bit more homey. And then in here is the downstairs bathroom. Now there is only 2 bathrooms in this build, and the one downstairs is a half bath, not a full bath. So there's only 1 shower. Now I do think that that would complicate things with gameplay a little bit. I mean, it is more realistic in terms of like a middle class customer service home, that it wouldn't have, you know, like 8 bathrooms, 1 shower for every kid or anything like that. But it is a little inconvenient that the downstairs bathroom doesn't have a shower, so the parents have to go upstairs for a shower. So you could probably fit a shower in there. You just have to be careful with the placement of the door with where you would want to place the shower. But in here is the kitchen. It's a rather oddly shaped kitchen. It's very long but not very wide, so in order to fit like all the counters and stuff, I had to like separate them across the walls, and so it's like 1/2 of the kitchen is on one side and 1/2 of the kitchen is on the other. But I do end up getting some, you know, extra storage over here, and I end up placing some of the open cabinets from Parenthood on top of some extra counters just to give a little bit more space. And then you can also see there is a room next to the kitchen on the right that is going to be a laundry room, but first I realized I didn't have any dining space for this family, and like I said, I thought that they were going to be like a very, you know, cozy family, very classic family, so they were going to have an area where they could sit and eat together, so I wanted to make sure I fit that in. So the room I initially had separated out to be a 4th bedroom, I decided to turn into a dining space. But in here is the laundry room, and it's very simple. Just the laundry bin or the laundry machines, some interior some decorations and stuff like that. And I'm using the I used the shelves from laundry day, and I realized that it looked like some of the wicker baskets on that shelf were like the inspiration for the wicker baskets we got in Dream Home Decorator, like some of the clutter pieces that we got, and so they work together really well. And I like the way that it worked pairing those decorations together. And then in here is the makeshift dining room that I created. I put a couple of hutches in here just to fill up some wall space, and then I'm also placing a couple decorations on the walls and stuff just to make sure the room doesn't look too bare. Now the screenshots, it still looks super empty because I didn't put anything on the table. I totally forgot. Like, there's no plants or like placemats or anything like that, and usually I end up placing like salt and pepper shakers and a plant, and usually even placemats, so it was a little weird for me that I forgot to do that, but before I upload the house I will probably add those in there. Just so that way the house is a little bit more complete. But in here is the parents' bedroom. I did keep it in the same color scheme as the rest of the home because I did think that they were the ones decorating, obviously. And I was having an issue with what I was going to put on that far wall, so I decided to do the dressing area first. I used the new base game dresser, the tall one from the birthday pack. Well, it wasn't a birthday pack, it was a birthday update. And then over here I just placed a simple picture with some of the lights just because the wall looked way too empty to leave. And then upstairs we have the hallway area, and I'm using some of the new pictures from Dream Home Decorator mixed with this eco lifestyle little shelf thing. This is where upstairs is where both kids' bedrooms are, so I figured that it would probably be a little bit, more messy up here. It'd be less polished, less exact, how it is downstairs. I end up adding another window and then placing some curtains up here. I don't place curtains anywhere else in the build, so it looks a little weird, but I thought that I needed it to, kind of make the wall space look a little bit better. But over here is just a simple seating area. I had the space, and I used the Discover University plants to make it look a little bit more kid-like, and then I'm also using some of these nifty knitting like toys and stuff that I'm placing as, colorful pillows on the chairs that we got from the Dream Home Decorator pack. And then over here is the upstairs bathroom, so I'm using the shower bath combo because the new bunk beds, you can also place toddler beds underneath. So if you did play in this home and you decided to have a toddler, instead of placing another regular bed underneath the bunk bed, you could place a toddler bed or something like that. So I wanted to make sure this house had like multi-functionality purposes. But over here I am using one of the new bunk beds we got with the Dream Home Decorator kit or pack. It's one of the ones I haven't used yet, so I was trying to use some new items. And then I placed a desk under here, and if you saw my struggle with trying to get the desk to place properly, it kept clipping in backwards. Like, it kept sitting in the slot backwards, and I don't know why, but it kept trying to like put the side of the desk where the chair has to go like up against the wall. So it was super weird, and I was trying to figure out how to get it to work, and finally I got it fixed. But over here we're doing the dresser section. I didn't do any built-ins or anything. I just did a dresser in the same color swatch as the bed, and I'm placing a couple of, kids activities and kids decorations around. I kind of thought that this kid was, kind of into science. He was, really good at school, and he wanted to do really well, so he has his awards. He was kind of into sports, so he played sports. And he has, some of his toys and stuff, but he's starting to maybe get to the age where he isn't really as into toys. So he has his dollhouse, like his old dollhouse. I thought maybe he had built that with one of his parents. And then he has all these other school projects running around. And yeah, so I thought he was kind of like that in-between stage where he's still a kid, but he's trying to be an adult. And then in here is the room I decorated for a teenager. So it has kind of this like white and gray scheme with different pops of color. I wanted to use these Parenthood side tables because A, I never used them, and B, I thought that they looked really well with this bed in particular because they have the gray handles to match the gray like color pops on the bed, and then everything else is white and cream, which matches the rest of the bed, so I thought that it kind of fit. And then over here is where I'm going to place the dresser. I did decide to use the Get Famous dresser instead of one of the new ones because I thought that it kind of made sense. When I was a kid, a lot of my furniture, like my sister had the dresser that was hand-me-down from my mom, and I had an antique dresser, so it kind of makes sense that, maybe they were out shopping and they saw this really cute dresser, and it might have been a little bit older, not necessarily new, but it was nice and it was sturdy, so the parents decided to go ahead and buy that for their kid because it matched their room. And then in here, I had this little extra space, so I decided to make kind of like a excess desk area for the teenager because I didn't have enough room in the actual bedroom to place a desk, but I did think that they were probably really into school but also art, which is why I placed the art easel there. So I wanted to make sure they had enough space for, you know, their activities. And then outside I get a couple of quick decorations, a swing set here for the kids, an outdoor dining table, and then also some pet stuff if you decide to have pets. But besides that, that is it for this build, so I hope you all enjoyed this one. If you did, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you all next time.